Live from the University of Oklahoma, this is the weekly Sooner Football Press Conference with head coach Lincoln Riley. Today's press conference is brought to you by Allstate. This season, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Game day or any day, protect yourself from mayhem with Allstate. Now, here's the head football coach at the University of Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley.
All right, thank you, Mike. Welcome, everybody. First, looking back on the Florida Atlantic game, I think felt pretty much, after watching the tape, felt very similar to what we did after the game. Proud of the way our guys played. Again, very proud of our crowd. Just a great team effort all the way around. Fans, players, coaches, everybody in the first half, especially of the game. Like a lot of first games, there were some really exciting things to see. You know, I like the energy, effort that we played with. The enthusiasm was really, really good. Mentality, you know, a really nice start there. It's never as good as you think it is in a game like that, and the film proved that true. You go back and there's a million things that we got to do better. Coaching-wise, players got to do better. Guys are going to have to grow. Very typical for the first game, but obviously a lot of really good stuff too. So I think it was a pretty good start. So excited about that. And like I said, we're not going to be defined by that game. We're going to be defined by how we continue to improve as a team, and if we'll continue to grow, if we can stay healthy, the mentality on this team can continue to develop, then we could have a successful year. So excited for the team and the opportunities ahead. Injury-wise, real quick, we expect to get Charleston Rambo back this week, which that'll be a big positive. Came out of the game pretty clean the other day. Austin Kendall, nothing too significant with his lower leg injury. We'll see how he's doing. There's nothing just immediate that's gonna just absolutely force him out for a long period of time. But at the same time, there was, it was a pretty solid impact, and so there's, mobility, swelling, all those things are going to be an issue. So I don't know if he's going to be able to play or not. It's just going to really depend on how his leg responds to treatment and some of the rest that he's had already, and we'll get early in this week, and then we'll see. We'll start repping, Tanner Schaefer and Tanner Mordecai, having those two guys ready if Austin's not ready to go. And again, it's a little open-ended. We're going to see how he progresses and hope to have him back soon, but also got to have the other guys ready. Everybody else injury-wise was pretty clean, so expect to have the full group back with the addition of Rambo this week. So obviously, important non-conference game. Great historical program, ton of great athletes with the UCLA program, and a game that I know it's exciting to our fan base. It's exciting for our players. I think it'll get the attention of nationally too, because of the matchup, and not a very traditional matchup, but another of a kind of long line of really good non-conference games that we've scheduled and had an opportunity to play here. So we're excited about this one. Watching those guys, obviously the impact of Chip Kelly. It's just one game in, but you can see offensively, that you see that they do what he does, and they're going to continue to get better and better at it. They've got some really good players. Obviously they played a couple of quarterbacks the other day that transfer in from Michigan that played some for them, and then a young kid that came in from Las Vegas that's really athletic. Looks like he's got a chance to be a really good player. So we'll have to prepare for all those different guys, and obviously knowing Coach Kelly, his reputation offensively, they're going to continue to challenge you, to play fast, put you in tough situations defensively. So I think it'll be potentially good news for us in playing an offensive scheme, not exactly the same, but has a lot of characteristics of what we saw last week as far as the tempo, creative play designs, and needing to handle that well will again be a key this week for us defensively. So looking forward to the challenge. There's a lot of really good athletes when you turn on the tape. They look great on the hoof, and they did a lot of really good things. Played very well defensively in the second half against Cincinnati. You see some big, good-looking guys, especially the outside linebacker, 15. He's a grown man, makes a lot of plays. Very experienced secondary, guys with a lot of starts, very, very quality players there. So going to be a great challenge, great great out-of-conference game matchup that we're looking forward to, and so we're looking forward. Again, we got to have another great home crowd. 12 o'clock kick. Everybody gets to sleep an extra hour this week. That's how we'll look at it as a positive, and so should be a great atmosphere. Appreciate it last week, and it's got to be even better this week, and we as a team have got to be better. So we'll go to work on it this week and make sure we're ready to do our part. So with that, we'll go questions.
How'd your freshman grade out?
Any in particular? We played a bunch of them. Perkins played well. Perkins was, I would say, one of the highlights as far as the young guys. Thought he, as much as any of them, just really looked like he belonged from the first snap. Got off some blocks, made some plays, was really close to making a couple others, but with not playing just a ton of snaps, he had an impact on the game. Buki did some good things back there, had a few tackles that he's got to finish, but he plays aggressive and decisive, more than you see from most freshmen for sure. Don't think off the top of my head. Any others?
Drake?
Yeah, Drake played well. Caught a couple of balls. Kind of played like he has. He missed a few assignments, that he's got to do better on, but, I think you kind of saw what we've been saying. I mean, he tends to make the plays when he's got an opportunity to do it, and he's just got to become a more consistent player. But thought he did some nice things for us. I thought the second O-line came in, Creed leading those guys at center. I thought our second O-line came in and did some encouraging things. We're encouraged by Adrian Ely, Tyrese Robinson, especially those two. I thought they really played well on the right side there with our second offensive line. Braden Willis did some good things. Most of the freshmen were probably about like we thought. Some mistakes, but I don't know that we had anybody out there that we came back and after the film said, they're not ready yet or they don't belong. So I thought it was a positive step for our young guys.
Deshaun is one of the guys that one of the freshmen also. Can you talk about how he played, but then also if you why is it not Deshaun?
Oh yeah, Deshaun White.
Yes. His game, but also looking forward with the injury there to Addison this week, it seems maybe even more possible. Is that right? That maybe Caleb could look back outside.
We'll see. We'll see. It's first thing will come down to is the game plan and what we decide to use personnel-wise defensively against UCLA, and then our linebacker depth is better, no question. It gives us, we played 4 or 5 guys there inside, played a couple of guys outside. Was happy with the way Deshaun White played for his first game. Again, you saw him moving around. You saw the athleticism. There's a few plays that he didn't make that he will make here pretty quickly, but there was no hesitation in his game, and his athleticism, I mean, you see it. It's very noticeable. So, yeah, I think just when you look at our linebacker position as a whole, there's so many more bodies than there were at this time last year. So it does give us, and with that, there's also a lot more experience. And so it does give us the option to maybe have a little more versatility and try to get all the right pieces on the field.
How did they look, your Jacks, in the game?
Jacks played pretty good. Mark was steady. It was one of those where there wasn't just a ton of just true drop back passing, so there wasn't a ton of pass throw situations, but he had a few pressures. Thought he played pretty steady. John Michael Terry came in there and did a pretty solid job for us as well. He let one ball get outside of him, but other than that, I thought they were pretty steady. Nothing spectacular, but they certainly didn't hurt us either.
I asked you, after the game about Ryan Jones and just his overall athletic ability and just everything that he encompasses when playing that, I guess, kind of the hybrid Sam position where he kind of covers and does everything that a linebacker does, but also does what a safety does. How did he look, and how much of a difference does he make for that defense after you've actually gone back and watched the film and seen everything that he did? Yeah,
similar to the team. I mean, he did some really, really good things, and then he had some big mistakes too. And that's so he played hard. He made some plays. There's a few mental mistakes that he's got to clean up, but he's going to. It was his first college game, but you see kind of what we described there after the game, the athleticism, you see the length, and he's, for all, even though he's been now outside backer with us here for, a few months, he hasn't done this his entire life. He was almost primarily a receiver and then played DB some late in his high school career, came here as a safety, and then we've moved him back down. So that whole part is still very new to him, more than most of these other guys, most of these other freshmen that come in. So you see him learning, but you just see kind of those flashes of dominance where you say this guy's got a chance to be a really good player. But it's going to be a process, and he's going to have to build on things he did well and then correct the things he didn't do well.
Lincoln, at this time last year, Kenneth Mann wasn't even playing. Now he's one of the 5 captains. What's it been like, his growth, development on and off the field?
Yeah, pretty steady. You know, he's always been just a really consistent worker. Worked himself, you know, about mid-season on last year into a guy that became a situational player for us defensively, and just it was one of those guys that seemed like every game he's making a big play defensively. And then he's really grown into certainly more of a leader. I think as last year ended, we started talking to him about the impact that he could have of, you know, getting ready to become a every down player first. And I think he's started to take those steps. There's not as much just maybe one flash play and then not much else. It's more consistent. He's better in the run game than he was. So a better overall player. And then he's got, because of his work ethic, because of the way that he approaches the game, he has an impact on the rest of our group. He's become more vocal. He's a guy they look towards, and you know, he's obviously done enough that his teammates elected him as one of the captains.
How did the defensive line overall play? Look like they got off the line?
Yeah, pretty good. I thought our ends especially, you know, were some of the best players in the game defensively. You know, Monty Bledsoe had a really strong game. Ronnie Perkins, as we mentioned, had a strong game. Tyrese Lott had a strong game. So Kenneth Mann played well. We need our noses to play a little bit better. We had some really good, outstanding individual plays. Neville had a couple of, you know, really good plays. But you know, that's a group for us. You know, with having, you know, Gallimore, with having Dillon, and then Q Overton, those 3 guys. I mean, we've got some depth. You know, they can keep each other fresh. All 3 of those guys have played a lot of snaps. That's a position for us that we expect to be dominant, so we need to make a jump at that position.
Buzzy was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. You know, he's had a great camp for you. That 2 position, both those guys had 6 tackles apiece. That position looked like it was a pretty strong position.
It is. Buzzy played well. Obviously played well defensively and had the big, you know, recovery off the punt block. So I thought he flew around, made some plays, you know, for his first defensive start. I thought he handled it well, and then Caleb came in and did a great job as well. So they, you know, both got a good number of snaps. You know, I'm sure that'll be a competition that'll continue to, you know, develop throughout the year. You know, require both guys to continue to improve, and then also, you know, it'll be, you know, potentially fun down the line to find some ways to get them both on the field because they're both really good players.
Lincoln, as you've come up as a play caller and learn more about offense, how much did you study what Chip Kelly has done through his career? Was that someone you looked to, and if so, did you take anything from his system?
Yeah, we've studied him some. Yeah, just maybe more in how he packages plays. You know, I thought it was pretty creative. I think everybody's taken some things, you know, from what they did from a tempo standpoint. I mean, I think everybody's looked at that a little bit. You know, we're quite a bit different schematically, you know, than they are now. But I think maybe some of the principles and some of the packaging was always, you know, eye-popping, and then you know, I thought they were always very creative too. You know, so you could almost always turn on the film and find something that was maybe a new idea or a new wrinkle that you thought maybe could help or that you could build into your own system. So yeah, there's always somebody that, you know, when they were at Oregon, when those guys were on TV, you're always trying to catch a peek of it or see what they were doing.
Lincoln, can you describe for the readers, the fans, whatever, the type of athlete that you're going to step up to this week compared to Florida Atlantic? I mean, they had some high-level Division I transfers, but this is a team full of high-level Division I players.
Yeah, the body types are different, you know, certainly, especially when you look around the line of scrimmage. You know, that's the spot that it's the most noticeable. I mean, you're going to, you know, these 2 outside linebackers were getting ready to play. I mean, both look as good as you can look and play outside linebacker. I mean, both, you know, long, you know, rocked up, can move. I mean, just, you know, kind of how you draw them up. So they're going to look like that front 7 defensively. You know, I know they're very good in the back end, which I think the group last week was too. Yeah, and then certainly, you know, offensive line, their tight ends, their backs. I mean, it is. You're certainly going to see more athletes on the field, and you're just going to see, you know, just bigger frames, bigger people overall. So, you know, it's always been a program that's, they've always recruited well, regardless who's been the head coach. They've always had a lot of talent. They've always put a lot of guys in the NFL. So, it's definitely going to be a different looking type team that walks on the field.
Obviously, no schematic secrets or anything like that, but how does that change how you approach this game?
It doesn't much. I mean, we're going to play against good players, and I think more for us, it's of course you'll have your game plan that best ways you think to approach the game on all three sides. But for us, it's going to come back to we got to make the improvements from week 1 to week 2, and we got to control that as a team, and that'll be our primary focus.
When you went back and played,
he was good. He was good. I thought he played really well. Thought he handled the situation. Probably more than anything, proud of his patience. And that he played within himself. He played within the offense, and that's what he's been doing. I wasn't surprised by it, but sometimes a guy like this, and even though it wasn't his first start, in a way it was his first start, of being the guy. And so I thought he handled it well. Was patient, read it well, threw it well. The couple times that we had something break down, he made things happen, but made good decisions within those situations too. So I thought it was a really good first start for him.
Specifically the scramble just before the first touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think going back and looking at that play on film, and also do you get a sense of what that does to a defense when a quarterback does something like that?
Yeah, it made him tired too. It probably made the defense tired as well. Yeah, we busted an assignment on that led to it, and yeah, he handled it well. He's got unique ability, and some guys when they start to reverse field like that, you wouldn't be real happy with. But I mean, he's just kind of got the ability to get around it. And had he not stumbled, he might have taken it the whole way. And so that was an interesting sound there. So yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit. That was distracting. 90,000 doesn't do anything to me, but the cat sound over there got me. But no, yeah, it does. It is demoralizing, because it's one of those plays where, if you're Florida Atlantic, you're saying, they're moving it pretty good. We had something, perfect where we had a guy dead to rights and they gained 12 or 15 yards off of it. I mean, no doubt it hurts them, and then we're able to pop the next one the very next play.
Lincoln, what does it say about your running back room that you get 5 touchdowns by 4 different backs?
Yeah, it was a start we were hoping for. We wanted to be able to play those guys. We wanted to be able to keep guys fresh, and be able to continue to throw fresh backs at them like we, hope that we can do throughout the season here. And I was really proud of the 2 young guys, the way they came in and played in their first game action. TJ ran really hard. Was a little impatient at times, which he's going to get better with that, especially his early carries. But then he settled in and really ripped off some nice runs, was physical, did a nice job pass pro. And then, Kenny Brooks, of course, busted the long run. Had I think I would have scored on that one. So that's when it was well blocked. But he had another really nice run there on their sideline that he made a little bit of something happen too. So I think it was a good confidence builder for those guys, and certainly, it's important to have that many backs, like we said.
Coach Kelly's installing a new offense at UCLA. What were your biggest challenges when you didn't install at East Carolina and Oklahoma?
Getting them to believe in it. They figure out the scheme stuff. I mean, probably the small nuances of the scheme is part of it. But yeah, I think just building confidence, and I think it's one of those things that you have to. I know in my experience, it takes some success to do that, and so even we had a little bit of success early in 2015, a little bit, but then we didn't really take off till about mid-season that year, specifically kind of around that Kansas State game, and that was. So I do think there's a little bit of a breakthrough that's got to happen mentally. He's done it more than me. He would know better than me, but I think. I think until they really believe in it, it's tough to be great. At least it has been in my experience.
When people think about the spread in the early days, they thought, pass running was a second thought. In Oklahoma, obviously, you run the football. Has the offense evolved, or you have more running, or are you just doing with better players, and say Texas Tech and others? Just talk about how the running game is kind of a big part of the spread.
Sure. Yeah. No, we have a exponentially more run game than anywhere I've ever been. I mean, we probably have more run game than anybody in the country right now. I mean, we do a lot of stuff, you know, and we do, but we've got guys that can do it. We got guys that understand it. You know, we got a staff, you know, that's on the same page offensively. So we are, you know, when we're clicking, we're able to keep people off balance because of that versatility. And again, I think the key for it is our players right now can handle it. You know, and I think that's where continuity comes into play. Having linemen that have played for a while, having some experienced backs. And then again, I just keep going back to being able to keep this staff together as many years as we have, despite some of the success we've had offensively. You know, it's a credit to Joe and his group of being able to being able to help keep these guys around. I think they enjoy what they're doing here, getting to work at a place like this, and it's certainly, I think, made a difference for us, you know, offensively and specifically in the run game.
Like in a perfect world, every quarterback you sign would stay 4 or 5 years, and you'd have a depth chart that not just, you know, was deep, but had some experience to it, even if they weren't starting every year. The quarterback got nicked up, maybe easier for you to sleep at night, even no matter where he was. But is that realistic anymore?
No.
Especially at that position.
Not really. It's not. It's different. You're always on the market for a quarterback now. I mean, always. Even if you have 4, you may really only have 2. You know, and we've learned that. You know, we went through that obviously the first year, and you know, we've had to be smart about taking care of our guys. I know, especially, you know, that first year after all those guys left. But that's just the world we live in. I mean, you see it all over the place. Guys not winning jobs, you know, and leaving, transferring out, teams losing 2 or 3 guys at a time, you know, especially after competitions, you know, happened. You know, I think we're always going to be able to attract good ones, you know, because of the history here, because of what we do, because of the players we can surround them with, and so I think, you know, we're probably in a better position than most because of that. But it's certainly one that the door is never shut on a great quarterback coming in here, whether it's a high school player, a junior college player, a graduate transfer. I mean, it's, you know, I think that you're always on the market.
Coaches are always asking their kids to be patient. Your time will come, and I understand the idea behind that. But again, it's such a natural leadership position. The quarterback, it's such a, you know, you want the ball literally. Your ball's in your hands every play, and you're used to having it in your hands. If you come from high school and you're a hot shot, so do you have to, again, you're a little more lenient with trying to get into a kid's mindset when he feels like it's time to try somewhere else? Or do you expect everyone to be faithful and
no? I mean,
works out?
I get, you know, I go back to that situation, what it was 3 years ago. I mean, you know, when Trevor, for example, when he came and sat down and talked to me after the season, we talked before the Orange Bowl, and, you know, he just said, hey, you know, what do you think? And I said, you know, of course we'd love to have you here, but I said, I do, if you decide to leave and go somewhere as a graduate transfer, I get it. Right. Like I would fully support that, you know, and it just comes down at the end of the day to what you want, because I can sit there and talk them into whatever, or try to, but if deep down they really don't want to be here and they want to try it somewhere else, that's probably what they should go do. And you know, so you don't want somebody that's just kind of halfway in. And so I think it's something you think about. I think it's something you've just always got to be prepared for, and there's always kind of got to be that contingency plan that if this guy leaves, this may be our next step.
Are you optimistic that you might see some other special teams improvement, particularly in the return game where it hasn't been real good lately because of the Beamer factor?
Yeah, I mean, I think Shane's had a really good impact on us, but I wouldn't just say just because of that. I mean, I think it's a work of a lot of people. That's, you know, again, it's like the quarterback and the head coach get all the credit or all the blame, and that's, you know, it's kind of the same way. I mean, Shane absolutely has had a tremendous impact. I don't want to discount it all. We've been thrilled with that hire, but I think everybody collectively has been just completely, you know, more invested. We've spent more time on it. There's just a total increase in the emphasis on special teams right now, and so I think that play the other day was a part of that. Shane is certainly a part of that. Coach Boulware is a part of it. the staff, the players, everybody. And so, yeah, absolutely, I expect it. I mean, I expect that we'll have a lot of big plays on special teams that hopefully will be, you know, part of what defines this season.
And you brought up impatience when you talk about TJ Pledger. Is that one of the hardest things to get young players to learn? Patience? I mean, I think we saw it with Ronnie Perkins on some of the plays.
Yeah, it is. It is, because sometimes they get in that game, especially that first one, you know, and they think it's all just go hard, go fast all the time, you know, and I think once they really get confident in the schemes that, hey, what I've done in practice actually does work here, you know, and they really can just kind of settle in and catch their breath and get their feet back on the ground, then they can do that. And TJ did it some there towards the end of the game. He had some much more patient runs at the end than he did in the beginning. But that's, I would say, very common for any position.
What does it say about Lee Morris from a mental standpoint, that it seems like when there's a play to be made, he's able to make it?
Yeah, you know, the guy's just really, he's worked his tail off the whole time since he's been here. He's very consistent day in and day out, and then when his opportunities have come, whether it's, you know, in some mop-up time against UTEP last year, or it's on, you know, one of the biggest stages in college football in the Ohio State game, or obviously some critical plays for us the other day, the moment's never been too big for him. And I think he just has a lot of confidence in himself, as he should, because of the way he has just consistently worked and prepared over the last 3 years. And so he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and we certainly have a lot of confidence in him as a staff right now.
Are you familiar with his recruiting story and why he didn't get a lot of offers, or the offers that he wanted?
Yeah, pretty familiar, because we, as much as we can without him becoming a recruited walk-on, but we actively pursued him and worked hard at it within those regulations. And we were shocked, honestly, coming out of Allen. Here you got one of the most highly recruited schools in the country, you know, with all the other players they had here. He was a little bit of a late bloomer in high school, which, you know, there's a lot of guys like that with recruiting happening so early that do fall through the cracks, and he was one of those guys. He had a tremendous senior year, and we were in contact with those guys, and it just, you know, one conversation kind of led to another, and we were shocked he didn't have more options. And he had some options, but we were shocked that, you know, he didn't have more and more bigger options than what he had. And it's obviously worked out, you know, I think great for everybody. He's been a big part of us for sure.
What does it say about your offense that a player like CeeDee Lamb only gets a handful of looks during the game while he's out there? You guys still score at such a high efficiency.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of just one of those games, you know. I mean, we only played the starters, you know, really there the first half, and it was one of those, you know, that we hit so many big ones, you know, that there wasn't a lot of, you know, 10, 12 play drives. There just wasn't a lot of plays overall. I mean, I think we were in the 60s there plays. You take out the 3 victory snaps at the end, we were probably right about 60 plays, you know, which is not very many. So, yeah, some games are going to go like that. You know, some games guys get there, some games they don't. I think they, you know, all have enough confidence in what we're doing. You know, even a guy like CD that, you know, that I think is going to have a great year, that, you know, those big games are going to come. You know, you just got to keep doing your job, and those opportunities will show up for everybody.
What do you see from him in the return game? He got a chance to field quite a few punts and get some experience there in the return game.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job fielding them. I thought we could have been a little bit better, you know, carrying the ball, honestly. I got pretty high expectations for him carrying the ball. I thought at times it was, you know, maybe it was almost maybe a little too patient. You know, sometimes you just got to go. And I thought we gave him a little bit of air on the punt return team. I mean, we blocked him at times and had some yardage. I know he was maybe trying to hit the big one every time, or one of those where he probably could have been, you know, more consistently getting us, you know, 10, 15 yards at a pop. So, but he's a good natural runner with the ball, and I think but proud of the way that he fielded, and I think he's taken some steps there for sure.
How much can you share at the end of the game, Chris Robinson? You guys had an embrace, a guy that you dismissed from the team a year ago, and how much can you share that conversation, what that was about, and what he said?
Yeah, he didn't say much. I'd probably keep it between us, you know, just with the circumstance and all that. I mean, I think, you know, I've talked a lot about my respect for him, and you know, being a fan of his going forward. So, but I would probably leave what we said, between us.
Lincoln, this is your marquee opponent on the non-conference schedule. Can you talk about future years and how much you and Joe work together on planning those future schedules?
Yeah, it's been great. It's the ones we're looking at now are well down the line. Hopefully they hadn't ran me off out of here before we get to them. But yeah, it's fun to look at those. To think ahead. You don't always know what people are going to be, in 5-10 years. So you just you do your best, and there's also the fan aspect of that too. Bringing marquee games here has been kind of a hallmark of this program, and something that we want to continue. So it's been great working with Joe, with Kenny, with our entire administrative group. They've got a good plan that we're very much in line with, and we love playing these games like this. Absolutely.
Realizing that you might like to break your own news when you give a walk-on scholarship with a YouTube video or something like that, do you have one to give to Lee Morris? Should we expect you to surprise us, or maybe not surprise us?
I can't believe I didn't get asked this sooner. Yeah. No, there's a lot that goes into it. The casual fan or somebody out there is, you sit there first, and then there's number issues, which is always, it's never as clear cut as it seems, because your numbers basically change weekly, if not daily, depending on where the recruiting class is, guys that you have leaving, projecting the future, where your needs are. I mean, it would be a little difficult to explain the whole thing, but it's a moving target. I mean, he's a guy that we always have a list of guys that, hey, when we feel like that we can do it, that are on that list, and he's certainly at or near the top of that list for us, no doubt. So I mean, I think one of those things, it's probably a matter of time. I'd love to have had him on even before this, but I gotta, as much as you want to make sure it's right for the kid, which that's a huge part of it, but it's also got to line and be right for the program too. And so those are the two things. Once we get those in line, then that's when we make decisions.
I think you knew the history of his dad and all that stuff.
Right. We did. We learned about it, kind of as we started to get to know him coming out of Allen, on the lineage there. And so I think there was a comfort factor there, and that's really kind of what got the door open in the first place.
Have you had much interaction with Chip Kelly?
I don't think I've ever met him. I don't think so. I don't think we've ever met. So no, zero.
Did these early kickoffs affect what you want to do recruiting-wise?
Yes.
Kids? In what way?
Well, we got a kid coming in this weekend that's got to get in a car to go to the airport at 2 a.m., which stinks, So I mean, no, I don't like them at all. I get you're going to have some. I mean, we all, nobody's going to get what they want every single time, but it's not right, especially to have 3 in a row. That shouldn't happen, but it did, and we got to deal with it. So, we'll work around it. We had a great weekend with our guys that were in this last week. We made it work, and we will find a way to make it work again.
Is Creed Humphrey being left-handed an issue catching the ball? You hear about passes being thrown by a left-hander.
It is a little, not necessarily the shotgun, a little bit under center. It's a little bit different, angle coming in there. But we've tuned our guys in